AIB is a safe space for us ladies and theydies to discuss our bodies, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. We're offering insights, sharing stories, laughing, supporting, and unlocking our divinity together. There's no greater power than that of the flower that is always in bloom. All right, y'all. We are here. Hey.
Oh, this is so exciting.
So exciting. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I already let y'all know we are going to be talking about marriage today. We have amazing guests. I'm going to just give a quick little intro for the marriage, right? So marriage, right? Where does it fit in today's world? In a world of sexual liberation and breaking from traditional practices, are we as a society still striving for marriage? Marriage is a huge topic to tackle, but today's episode, we will break down marriage from varying points of view. A young, recently married woman, a young divorcee, a seasoned married woman, and a host who just doesn't know where she fits into all of that. So listen, as we break down commitment, relationships, and factors that lead us to saying those two fated words, let's get into it. Hey y'all, and welcome to Always in Bloom podcast, the show where we talk about all things femme and free. We have a packed conversation today, so let's have our guests introduce themselves.
My name is Liselot Rosado, and I've been married 11 months and 1 week.
Oh my gosh, that's almost a year.
I know. This looks so cute.
Okay.
Almost. I am Roslyn Ali, and I have been married for 21 years. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Everybody take a breath.
Okay. All right.
I am Grace Annette. I am the second petal of Always in Bloom, and I was married for like 27 days.
Okay. Okay, and as always, it's our, my name is Muhyi Ali. As always, we are your hosts for the Always in Bloom podcast. So let's get right into it, starting off with our Ovary Here segment.
Over here.
Ovary Here.
Yes,
Ovary Here.
Over here.
All right, so I just want to let y'all know that these statistics that we'll be working with today, they are based off of heterosexual relationships. Unfortunately, due to the lack of rights, there is a lack of data when it comes to queer relationships. So you guys can speak on what you have, but we will give all of these facts that we have available to us, but just a little disclaimer.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
All right, so boom. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to give a definition of marriage, okay, in a non-secular way. A non-ethnocentric definition of marriage is a culturally sanctioned union between two or more people that establishes certain rights and obligations between people, between them and their children, and between them and their in-laws. As married folks, what do you think these rights should be?
I'm gonna let you start.
Rights.
Yeah.
I'm like, my rights? Did I get married and lose my rights? So, I mean, it's a strange word for me in that context, that non-secular definition that there are rights. And I am a little bit still trying to muddle through the two or more people.
Right,
you know, in terms
right.
of I never heard that before.
Right,
but,
right.
You know,
because polygamy does exist in many places.
It does. I just don't think, personally, I don't think I've ever seen it come up in a definition of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rights. Yeah, I mean, they exist, and I'm going to try to separate the legal aspect of the word rights in this context. But I don't know. I guess being in a marriage means that I have certain rights to the partner that I've chosen, and that person has certain rights to me as a partner. Mm-hmm. But always remembering not to infringe on my rights, okay?
Okay, I heard you. I mean, I'm just trying to get into it. What does that exactly mean? You're saying, they have certain rights. What are those certain rights to you? Because you're giving yourself to a person, and
I mean,
Heavy quotation marks.
Heavy quotation marks.
Quotation marks. Because I was going to say the right to call me their partner, you know, in a marriage.
That's a big one.
The right to expect that I'm trustworthy. I think. They have that right. They have the right to believe that I'll always act in our best interest.
Oh, yeah. Is this a definition that you found with time? Because you said you'd been married for 21 years. But did you just come up with that on the spot? Or did you know it when you walked into when you got married? Like, yup.
No. That actually is kind of built over time. But I did just figure that out just now. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I really did just figure that out just now. But yeah, I guess rights in a very non-concrete or non-tangible way when you have a partner and you talk about what rights you and your partner have in that marriage. Right. For me, it's not anything tangible. You don't have a right to my money. You don't have a right to my stuff.
That nod was serious.
I mean, we're speaking frank and personal. You don't have a right to that. That doesn't mean I won't share it with you.
Right.
But you certainly don't have a right to it.
I love that. How does that feel hearing that, Lise? Like as a newlywed?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's only been 11 months. So really, I just feel like I kind of agree with everything you said. Just the right to know that I'm always going to be there for you and I'm going to always have your back, but also do not cross me and we will have a problem. So, yeah.
We're just respecting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right to respect them.
Yeah.
I was not afforded any of that.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Was not.
As a divorcee, did you feel if it's too much, you let me know.
Oh, no, not
But like, is it because these rights were violated that you had these preconceived notions of what those rights would be, and that's why you ended up with this divorce status?
I just think that the relationship, like before we even like got to the marriage, like our right to each other was just not. It just wasn't good. Like we didn't have good boundaries. We didn't have like established things like in our relationship that would have led us to have a good marriage. Like everything was just bad from the jump. So
I'm fairly curious of what led you into this, into deciding that big, I'm going to tie the knot. And that's a question that I have for everyone, for the entire floor.
The only reason I got married was solely because of everything that I had been through growing up and my ideologies growing up. My parents have been together like 30 years, 35 years, something like that. They dated for 10 years. They've known each other since they were 3 and 5, started dating when they were 15 and 18.
Ooh, the pressure's on.
So the pressure was just like absolutely ridiculous. And not from like anybody else. Nobody in my family ever was like, oh yeah, Grace, like go get married young and all this stuff. Like, no, it was just like, no, like that's all I've seen, all I've known. And as a Cancer, like I attribute so much to that. But I was just like, oh no, like love is me. Like I am love.
Why can't that happen
like
for me?
Why is that?
Try?
I've dreamt about this since I was dreaming. Like since I could dream, like this is what I've dreamt of.
Wow.
Why is it not happening? Why is it not, why is it not working?
Dang, that's heavy.
But, I definitely had to take a moment to step back and be like, it was not me. It was not me.
Yeah,
like, what I mean? I did everything that I could have possibly done to really make that relationship work. It just wasn't going to work from the beginning.
Yeah, what about you? Like, what made you think that, I need to get married now?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And I'm so intrigued that you and I have similar childhoods. My parents got married and met very young and had a really lovely relationship. I mean, I could see that they cared for each other, that they were close. And I never dreamt about getting married. Honestly, it was never a dream of mine. I never imagined myself getting married. I never thought about like the day that I would go shopping for a wedding dress. Yeah, no, none of that. None of that. No.
That's so interesting because I don't either, and I thought something was wrong with me.
No, I'm here to tell you nothing's wrong with you.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
cool.
I didn't dream about it. And the fact that I married the person I had dated for a long time. We did meet when I was 14. But I remember after like years of dating, people would say to us, so when are you guys going to get married? When is this is what you should tell him that, and I would always be
societal
like,
expectation.
Yes,
yeah.
but I would always be like, I don't know. I mean, we split in the rent. Everything's cool. Like, you know, for me, I was like, it was okay, you know? And I think, and it's that legal stuff. I don't know why it's such a part of how I think, but, you know, in a lot of ways, I was like, marriage legally attaches you to somebody. So while I don't think how you care for each other should change, other things do change de facto because you have now legally contracted to somebody, you know, and so things are different. And so, it just was never like a huge, it wasn't on the list.
So interesting.
Yeah, we're gonna circle back to that because I want to talk about cohabitation and things like that because a lot more couples now today are living together or shacking up as opposed to tying the knot. So I want to understand how you got from cohabitation and then a marriage for 21 plus years. Yes. That's like what? Like that breaking statistics now.
You got married and then stayed married.
Like you did it on purpose and was still there. Actively stayed.
So you actively stayed.
Like, he actively brought you here today.
Yes, we saw he dropped her off, like supportive. He applauded. Like I was like, okay, that's love, and it's still there. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna circle back. Please, what's up? Why? How did you get married?
Growing up, I always thought my parents had the perfect relationship, and then as I got older, I was like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. But I still always wanted to get married. I just love love. And like Grace, I knew it was for me and I was waiting. But I wasn't looking for it. And the way I met my husband, I definitely did not think I was going to marry him. So when I did, it just felt right. And I didn't question it for a second. I know that to my parents, maybe it might have seemed fast. I feel like when you know, you know. And in that moment, I just knew. And I was like, I'm not going to think about it twice.
Right.
Love that.
That is beautiful.
That's powerful.
But as the cynic I am. So I just want to understand.
You just knew.
So
like,
you just knew, right? Like, because you could have dated, you know, but as we've been friends a very long time, like you went into this relationship and were like, I'm going to marry this person, period. Like, what was the moment that decided? Because you ain't like him. I'm going to tell everyone. You did not like him at first.
I didn't. I think it's because we became best friends and it started as a friendship. And that's where I think really how we're so successful is because we're truly friends at the end of the day. We can talk about anything. We can bullshit about anything. We just have fun together. My past relationships weren't like that. It was just all a crush. Oh, I think you're cute. And then it was just nonsense. So, yeah.
No follow-up.
Right. Like,
No, just nonsense.
The rest of this is nonsense.
It was just a mess. So
A beautiful relationship evolution.
Right.
Yes, girl. Okay, that's beautiful. All right, that's cool. I wanted to go back. You're living with your partner, with your spouse?
I am.
That's okay. How's that? How's that cohabitation?
Well,
going?
since COVID, we've been living at my house.
Okay.
So it's been, listen, we're grateful to be living with my parents. It's great and everything. We need some space. Like, not that my parents are like coming down the basement like, hey, y'all, let's hang out. But we don't really clash. And I kind of expected to maybe butt heads a little bit. And maybe, again, it's because we're living with my parents. Maybe when we move out, it'll be a different story.
Like,
maybe. But right now, it's been good.
That's awesome.
Maybe because my mom's upstairs, but it's been okay so far.
That's awesome. And you are also living. Have y'all been living the whole time? Living together the whole time?
I love it. Well, no, because
14
I mean,
on.
right.
Right.
My parents were like, "Oh, sure, you can get an apartment with your boyfriend. It sounds great." Yeah, no, we didn't start living together until I graduated from college. He's a few years older than me, so when I finished, we got an apartment with my parents' support, and yeah, we've pretty much been living together in some way, shape, or form ever since. But you know, I have this theory that I don't think married people necessarily have to live together. Ooh. And I know. I'm throwing stuff on the wall, right? The ovary here. So, you know, when we were planning our wedding, my mother, who is very old-fashioned, different generation, had all kinds of ideas about China and dresses. And such things, and I had made a comment, like kind of in passing, like, well, I don't know, I think it'd be cool if he and I had separate houses, you know. And I remember she like clutched the pearls that she wasn't wearing, but she was like, you know, what did you just say? And I was kind of like, well, yeah, like I'm not really sure why just because I married somebody means I gotta live up under the same roof with them every day.
Wow.
Like,
Wow, okay.
right? Oh. And then, well, I mean, if you think about, I like to do stuff. I like to go places. And I think it's kind of nice if, like, I could come see you. But I don't have to come see you.
Okay.
Because there you are. Right there. Right there.
The whole time.
The whole time. And that's not to say I don't like living with my spouse. I do. We actually get along fabulously in that regard. Yeah. But I do think there's something interesting about being able to have some sacred space for yourself that is your own. And I don't think it would be the end of the world if a couple, by choice, you know, some people live separately because they have to for work. You know, like my job is here, like, and I have to travel for work, and so there's a lot of separate time. But I don't think it would be that outrageous to say, why don't I have a house over here? We like the state. That's right, I said state. No. Yeah. Like, that's a little strong. I know, like, and you live in that state. No. But, I mean, it wouldn't be on the same block. I don't know what the point of that would be.
You take East Coast, I take West.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I in my head, I think it's your soul and your actions and stuff that really keep a marriage together. Mm-hmm. And it's not this checklist of things where, yes, we have a house together, we have children together, we have a pet, and we have a bank account, and so that means we're married and we're happy, right? No. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. No. Okay. That's not what it means. Like, there is no perfect checklist to mark things off to call your marriage happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that closes out our segment. I'm not gonna lie. That was right on the money. We're going to move into filament if y'all don't mind.
Don't mind.
All right. Okay, so boom. Filament. Let's get some facts going, you know, because of course you all have experienced these marriages, these relationships, but let's get some numbers. So individuals marry for several reasons. These could be legal, social, libidinal is one of the words I found.
Libidinal. I love that.
What does that even mean?
Like your libido.
Like your libido.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the adjective form. I'm an ex-English teacher.
Yeah.
It's the adjective form.
Yeah. So those are reasons people get married: emotional, financial, spiritual, religious purposes. Like, I get married for a certain type of reason. But the first recorded evidence of a marriage ceremony uniting a man and a woman dates back to approximately 2350 BC, and this is in Mesopotamia. Ancient Mesopotamia.
Yes, the ancient civs, ancient civilization.
Right? That was like one of the first like that we learned in class, but there were some before that.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about ancient Mesopotamia, we're thinking about Iraq, Kuwait, Turkey, and Syria, wherever you're looking, it's like Middle Eastern. So wedding ceremonies had like a dowry, and divorce can be traced back to this Mesopotamian time and Babylonian time. But the reasons that they got married were to create allyships between different tribes, so that it was not about necessarily like about love or anything like that. It was more strategic or business practice. So what are the reasons that you think are good to get married? And do you think that there are bad reasons to get married? This is very opinionated, but I'm just telling you what it is.
It is very opinion based because like now I don't think there's any like good or I don't think there's any there's no real good reason to get married. Like especially like nowadays in society, aside for like all the like the legalities of it. Yeah. Like if you're cohabitating perfectly fine and you guys are happy, like marriage is literally just a piece of paper.
I mean, I don't know, but we do have a millennial that has gotten married here.
That's me. I actually agree with Grace. I don't think you need to get married.
So what the heck was all this? Why are we flying out to DR?
Because why not?
Right?
Why not? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would have been okay if I never got married. Yeah. It was just something I felt, and I did it. But there's no reason to get married. Because as you were talking, I'm like, why did I get married? It wasn't for money. It wasn't for, I don't need him. I just love him.
Right. Okay, so you got married for love.
For love.
For love.
That is the reason.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
It really is.
Because really, I don't need him. So
And that's a great reason to marry somebody. Love, right? But I think having lived as long as I have and been married as long as I have, I would say that there are maybe some reasons to marry outside the scope of just love. I know people who have feelings and care for each other, but have also decided to take that legal step for purposes of insurance, benefits. Well, it's tough out here in the world.
Yeah, that's a word.
And if you have a partner whose career path or work or health means that they don't have benefits, you can't help them. You cannot cover them. You cannot provide for them in that way unless you are legally connected. That's a reason to marry. Yeah, I mean, so that's, to me, is one of the reasons where I could say, do it. To if you care and you're in a relationship, make that legal contract, because then you're supporting the other person in that way. You can't do that otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could dig that. I dig that.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all want to get married or what? I just want to support. I want to. I do. I want to really connect. I know y'all are busy or whatever, but
Look, if we make it to 35 and I still haven't met anybody, I'm with it.
Do it.
I'm just assuming that I won't.
Now this. I don't know how to answer that one. I don't.
Okay. I want to go back to this cohabitation thing that you
Yeah.
was talking about, because actually, according to ancient Hebrew tradition, a wife is seen as being property or high value, and this is like ancient times. Like, when we're talking about ancient times, like women were oftentimes seen as the property and ways to navigate society. Like they were.
You got your land,
Currency.
your house, you got your crops, your cattle, wife,
And
like
wife.
the
All these things that I own.
Yeah.
But early nomadic communities in the Middle East practiced this form of marriage known as bina, in which a wife would own her own tent on her own, within which she retains complete independence from her husband. What? Yum. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I like that word, Bina. As soon as you said it, I was like, I like the word.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I know why. I like what it means.
Yeah, you dig it? So you're
Yeah.
into couples not living together.
Well,
So that is
I'm
a headline.
comfortable with the idea of being in love and not living together. I think that because I am a little bit of an introvert, I really do value my space. And by space, I don't mean I ever say to my spouse, I need my space today, so I don't want to see you. It's not like that. But there's this feeling of always knowing that I have some space to be in on my own that I think I just hold near and dear. And so, yeah, it's lovely to live with your partner and wake up and see them and they're the last person you see before you go to sleep. There's nothing bad about that. But I also don't think there'd be anything bad about that not being the case every single day.
I don't know. I don't want to misquote. I believe it was Whoopi Goldberg, but someone asked her why she wasn't going to get married. And she was like, I don't want somebody in my house. Yeah. And I said, word. Facts. I have 2 fish and a hamster, and I get frustrated with them. Imagine a whole being,
human.
a whole
human.
being. Like, imagine they fart or something. Like, you just do something in my house, like
Yeah.
in my space.
Humans do all kinds of things in your space.
Oh my gosh. Or moving your things.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Or putting their things on your things.
Oh my gosh. I take it back. We're not getting married, y'all. Sorry. False alarm. Got
you
excited
see,
back there.
When we discuss our like fake we're gonna get married at 35 thing, like our in
Go ahead.
we kid around and we're like, we're gonna do like 2 houses and we'll do like a bridge in the middle,
Right. Yes.
Because and like a bridge with like another separate house in the middle. Like this is our house, and
Yeah.
then we have like our own
yes,
own
yes.
situation. For you, like, do you have like your own room? Do you have your own corner? Like, how does that look like for you, like right now?
Actually, yeah. So, well, like you said, you're Cancer, and you're like, because that, I really do, that resonates with you and stuff. So there's some things that resonate with me, and like one of them is energy. So I do have a space where we live that is really just my space. I call it my nook, and it's he sat there one time and he was like, "This is really nice." I was like, "Get up." get up because it's my energy.
Yeah.
That's my safe space. It's just very sacred. So I have a little corner that is literally just mine. And thankfully I'm married to somebody who respects and appreciates that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I know you can't have one right now, but would you like one in like your future home setup?
I think so. My husband's love language is quality time, and I love that. However, it's not mine always. So he doesn't understand, also being a Cancer, that I'm like a hermit crab, and I need my alone time. I need to not be around him every second of every day. So yes, when we do have a place, I would love to have a little room to just close the door. Just need my moment, and then when I'm ready to connect again, we can connect.
Yeah. I feel that, well, you guys are two of my closest friends, but you're both Cancers, and I can say in my Capricorn heart that we're soulmates, one. But two, that you both are constantly giving. Like, it's not like it's like a passive situation. Like, it's not loving passively. So to constantly be in the presence of someone else can seem very tiring for both of you. Like, if you're going to be living with someone, it's just like, oh, no, but I'm just loving all of the time. It was like, oh, wow. That was my thought. So I think that you should live apart. So that you can breathe.
When Rosalind said, like, the whole, like, oh, not living together, it made me think, because I'm just like, if you really are going to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you can't spend, like, a year or two, like, not living together.
A year? I was just thinking, like, twice a week.
Twice a week you leave. But like it really opens my eyes, like, I'm gonna have to rethink this a little bit, like
these options.
Right? Because I want to live in DR. Like, you're not coming. No.
What? The whole island?
The whole island.
You can't come anywhere on that
anywhere
island.
near the island.
He can't even get a plane ticket.
And then maybe
On the no-fly list.
Right, he's on the no-fly list. Well, there are these like really limited, in my experience, these limited ideas about what marriage looks like, and it really has to look like what will work for you and your spouse. At the end of the day, no two marriages are alike, should be alike. I think people come into marriage with these preconceived ideas about what it is. We will live together, we will have a house together, but it has to make sense for you and that person. And so if it kind of bucks tradition, if it's a little more Bina, than people might be accustomed to, then okay, that's all right. It doesn't mean that there's less love. It doesn't mean that there's less want. It doesn't mean that there's less commitment. Those are really just, I don't know, they're things that prop you up. But like, if you can really stay connected to somebody and not always be physically near them, that's like powerful.
Right. Yeah, that's real. I think I'm having difficulty connecting that to ending in marriage, because I am blessed to have such a supportive friend group, and like those are my radas, like my rocks all the time. So like to meet someone outside of that group and be like, okay, we're gonna spend the rest of our life together. Why would I do that to myself? Why would I put that pressure of this cultivated 20 plus years friendship on someone else? Like, these people I know I'm going to be with forever. This is not a therapy session for me. I'm just saying. Sorry, I just realized that I was just giving a lot right there.
Are you sure?
Let's talk about it. I'm genuinely curious. I mean, I asked before, but why? What is the level of certainty when you are going into a marriage, an official locking down, legal? Like, what is it? The level of certainty.
that the other person's like not gonna leave you?
Yes.
0.
Right, exactly. So what?
Like,
why would you ever?
Literally, like, my chain, like, because in my head I was like, oh, like, once like you get married, like, that's it. Like, you lock down. Like, it doesn't matter what y'all are going through, y'all gonna work it out, because you guys signed the dot. Like, that's what signing the dotted line means.
I'm
it
sweating.
means that no matter what, you guys are gonna work it out. And then I did it, and then we didn't work it out, and I was like, I didn't see this coming. I really didn't realize that this could have been an outcome. Like, you hear, like, people get divorced, and you're like, yeah. But I was like, me, Grace.
Right.
Like, I love too hard, okay? I give so much of myself, and I literally, at the very end of my marriage, like, I was still fighting for it. Like, if you would have seen me, like, I was still fighting tooth and nail for my marriage because I was like, I'm married. Like, this is not, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, we are married. Okay, you stepped out, da-da-da. Let's do couples counseling. Let's do, like, I was willing to put in all the work because in my head, that's what marriage is. Like, you sign the dotted line. You said, like, all X, Y, and Z, like, we're going to get through it. And, like, that, like, my partner did not want no parts of me. Like, literally, like, once they had decided that they were, like, done with me, like, zero parts of me. When I ended my divorce, they weren't even at the court. Like, the judge was literally like, when was the last time you talked to them? I was like, talk to who? And they're like, okay, yeah, just come back in a month and like we'll give you your paperwork. It is what it is. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know where this man is. I gave his parents literally like the paperwork because like I had zero contact with him whatsoever. So it really did change my like idea of marriage. And then with the cohabitate, like after I got married, I cohabitated with somebody else and I was in a whole separate relationship and I was living with this person for 2 whole years. Apparently living with somebody also doesn't mean that you're going to spend the rest of your life with them. Like, so it's still like an evolving like ideology for me because I'm just like, what counts? Like, there's nothing that makes it certain. Signing a line doesn't make it certain. You could be living with them. You can get it tatted. Nothing makes it 100% certain.
My mom got like 4 tattoos for people. Just
Facts.
it's very funny.
And that's like, it's terrifying to think of because there's literally nothing that you could, I mean, nothing in this life is certain. Like, at all. But like, it really makes you think like, damn, like there's really nothing in a relationship. Like the other person just has to genuinely choose, like, I choose you and this is how our relationship, this is what works for us, and I'm choosing that this is what our relationship is and this is what worked for us, and actively doing so.
But like, what makes that worth it? Like, what is it that person is giving that it's like, oh, this is worth it?
But it's the same thing. Like, there are no guarantees that a relationship is going to last. But if you were take the rings off and you were committed to this person and they were your one and you were cohabitating and you had these, these ideas about who you meant, what you meant to that person and what they meant to you, and then something started to fall apart, you wouldn't fight for it just because it's not a marriage. I mean, in my mind, it's a relationship, and if you're both in the relationship, fighting just as hard, for me, would come naturally, married or not. If there's that, I guess because I'm separating the word commitment, like that's its own thing. Marriages don't necessarily have commitment. Like, I know, sad, but I know people who are very unhappily married and have chosen to remain that way for very specific reasons, but they are not happy and there is not a commitment.
A commitment to being happy
to
or
being one
together?
To working things out, to making things better. There's a commitment to remain for different reasons, but there's not a commitment or an understanding that we're going to try to turn this ship around, like get off this mound and, get back in the water and go forward. And I guess I see commitment as a thing. So whether I'm married to or not, if I love you and I care for you and we have problems, I'd still want to work them out. I don't think I would see it as, well, we're not married, so I could just hit the door, deuces, this is too much work, like I'm on to the next. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with making that decision. I'm just arguing that marriage doesn't inherently mean commitment. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Yes, marriage does not inherently mean commitment. And that's just something I figured out over time. Does that make sense?
I get it. Okay.
Right? Because there's people cheat. Right? If you're really married and you're committed, why are you cheating? Right? And you can't argue, well, people in relationships, that's still messed up. You shouldn't cheat on your partner, period, married or not. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just because somebody's married doesn't mean there's a commitment. So when you're thinking about making that commitment, I think it's a huge leap of faith, that you're taking because there is no guarantee. But I'd like to think that paper or not, line or not, that like you got me, if you say you do, like if you can you stand by your word?
Okay.
Damn, trusting somebody that much is like terrifying.
Exactly.
Like, really terrifying.
Is it after 21 years?
Is it really?
Nah, we just do it. It's whatever.
But like, why is that so terrifying? Because you trust your friends, the ones that you really consider to be true friends. You've built that trust.
Yeah.
Why is it so terrifying to imagine that you could have that kind of trust with a romantic partner?
I literally told my friends that were like, like it took 7 years for us to be that. So if I just meet another person, it's like, so you got 7 years to get on their level, and by that time they're gonna be out here 35 years. So
you actually don't have a chance.
Literally.
So I'm already taken.
That's me personally. That's why I'm just like, big ups to y'all for being married and taking that commitment, even if it didn't work out the way that you intended. It's just like trusting yourself and making the best decision for you as a person, as a whole. Like, even though in a marriage it's two people as a connection, but you're still making the best decision for you, I believe. Like, it's always about you as an individual, because that's who you be with. That's the only thing that you're with 24/7, and that's you. Yeah. So you're making this commitment to be with a person who's going to make you better, you better. And that's huge.
Yes.
Even if you make a commitment to be out of a relationship, you're committed to making you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, like, I just got to lean on me personally. That's just me. It's funny because there was a study, it was in 1992, actually, so it's not that recent, that most premarital cohabitations end in divorce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to know what your thoughts were on that statistic, but after COVID, because there's a lot of like COVID issues. Like the lockdown caused a lot of divorces. The divorce rate rose with that. But unfortunately, a lot of like disputes that hadn't come out before rose with COVID and the lockdown and being so close to people. So premarital cohabitation ending in divorce. Thoughts?
I don't know. I know people who've done it forever and then got married and they're still doing really well. I think their foundation is strong. So the whole COVID thing didn't affect them. But yeah, maybe if your relationship's rocky, or I know for my family, a lot of things came out during quarantine that we never discussed before. And that was eye-opening. And I could totally see, like, say I was married to my mom or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I'm leaving you now because I never knew this about you. I think I'm surprised because I've seen relationships start off living together first, then married and being successful. I haven't really seen living together before marriage ending in divorce. So that's interesting.
Well, the statistic grew in like 2006, and that's because less people were getting married, so I think that's how it shifted. And the reason less people were getting married is because, like, we're living together already. So
yeah, what's the point?
So what's the point? Like, why would we get married? So, like, if it did end in divorce after you got married, it's because the other people who are still together, they're not getting married. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's how that math works out.
That statistic surprises me, though, like, completely, because in my mind, even my mother was for me living with my partner first, because it was like, let's do the experiment. Yeah, I need to know if you sleep with your eyes open. Are you one of those people? I need to know these things. Yes, I feel like the cohabitation before marriage,
Vital.
Yes, I do. Just when you're around someone outside of, going to a meal in a restaurant, outside of the work environment, outside of social gatherings with friends and things like that. And then you're in your comfort space. What do you like?
What do you like when you're alone?
What do you like? I mean, really, what are you like? I know a woman who is now divorced, who married a man. They lived in different states. They dated for several years before they finally got married. And when they married, they moved to a new state. They bought a home. They lived together. And within 2 years, they were filing for divorce because he was incredibly domineering in the house, and his ideas about what would be occurring in their shared house were new to her. And it wasn't working. And she was like, I don't rock like that. And he was kind of like, yeah, you do, because you're my wife, and yeah, it was very like ancient Mesopotamia. Yeah. But she really, I mean, it ended up, it never came up. They lived apart. So all of their interactions were, in restaurants, other people, on vacation, taking trips. They visited one another, but when you're not around someone all the time, there's always that element of we're on vacation. This is a romantic interlude. But the day-to-day living together, she said he was a very different person.
You can keep up a facade for a very long time.
You sure can.
I think, especially in a relationship, and like touching onto like the cohabitation in COVID. COVID made it it's one thing to live with somebody and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm a homebody, but like COVID, like you were literally couldn't go nowhere. Like there was no escape. So all these couples who had all this expected time apart and things that they were just hiding from their spouses. Like I heard so much tea at my old job because, there's women who never let their husband see them without makeup because they would wake up like an hour beforehand. Like now there is no work to go to, so there is no hour to wake up beforehand. So like he knows what your face looks like. Is it the same face that you've been showing? And it's not the same face you've been showing him for the past 15 years, or or your significant other, or like just little things that they just, oh, like you're dirty, like like oh wow, like you're kind of gross, like, and you don't realize that until you're literally stuck in a room in a house with somebody for 24/7 plus.
I think also in 1992, like divorces were more popular. Like the generation before, they weren't getting divorced. They were staying together even if they were unhappy, like we mentioned before. So that's probably why the premarital cohabitation. So it's a pretty funky statistic. But all of our sources that are mentioned in this episode will be available in our show notes. They'll be right down there. You could check it. We got like BBC News up in here. We got research. We did stuff. But yeah, interesting. All right, I want to know y'all thoughts on divorce.
Oh, totally for it.
Okay, heard you.
If you are not happy, just sign it away. It's not that hard. It's really not. It's, takes a couple. Just make sure you have all your paperwork set.
How does that work? Quick. Did you get divorced or is it annulled? Because I know after a certain amount of time, it becomes divorce.
Yes. So.
Because you said 27 days.
Yeah, like timeline, right? So I got married in May of 2016. He was cheating on me by June of 2016. So I refused to fill out any paperwork or do anything because I was just very gung-ho of like, all right, you ain't gonna love me, but you at least gonna divorce me. Like, you gonna do something here. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I did everything. I got you through basic training. I got you through all that stuff. I maintained a relationship with your family. I planned the wedding. I planned the honeymoon. The least you could do, bro, is divorce me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like the bare minimum that you could do. But I just wouldn't file the paperwork. My mom literally told me, like, in June, it was literally like annulment. And I was like, no, he has to do it. Da-da-da, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nope, like, I'm not gonna do it. I don't think I actually officially filed for divorce until almost like a year later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I was in a whole other relationship, literally, like, by the time I, like, went. Right. I was like, all right, literally, I had gotten into a relationship, like, November, December 2016, and then that spring was when I officially filed for divorce, and then everything was finalized paper-wise. I believe it was like June 2018. So it was like a two-year process, just about. And luckily mine was like smooth sailing, I think, because I didn't fight for nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we weren't together for me to be like, oh, like my lifestyle changed and all this other stuff. And the judge was like, you're not gonna, like, you don't fight. I'm like, I don't want this, please. I didn't even change my name. Like, I didn't even have time to do the name change or anything. I literally was just like, oh, I signed it. We went away for a honeymoon. We came back. He went back to training. And then that's when I found out, like, everything, like, hit the fan after that. And I was just like, oh, okay.
That was wild. That was a wild time.
It was absolutely crazy.
Check out our Patreon to listen to the full story.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a whole story time about that one. Because that was an intense
Y'all thoughts on
process.
Divorce before we get into our last segment?
It depends on the situation, I think. Yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with it if it got to that point. But like we've all been saying, I would fight for my marriage depends on what exactly happened. But yeah, I think divorce is okay. I'm not mad at it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say I agree. I think that if that's what makes sense and it's really about the two people being okay and well, if that means not being in a marriage together, then I don't have any objections to it. On the flip side of that, though, I see why some couples, it's just not black and white.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're in a place in that marriage where there's property and children and pension and state rules about like who's entitled to what. Like it gets really gnarly, you know, separating from somebody, you know, breaking that legal contract. Real talk, it can get very dicey.
Yeah, a little
And
messy, a little messy.
little messy. So yeah, I see why some people struggle,
Yeah.
you know, with making that decision. But you know, like the two of you, like if that's what makes sense, then yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it.
I was asking because like making the big decision to get married is like, all right, till death do us part is like the classic thing. But
Yeah.
then it's like being transformed into the like till divorce do us part, you know, like until we're done with this. So it's like, is the commitment as sincere and the meaning behind marriage as sincere as when we first started getting married in the Mesopotamian times and arranging things, you know?
Well, a lot of people, that just makes me think that like a lot of people who, like you said, marriage is this whole like till death do us part thing. And there's a lot of people who have issues with when their couple asks them to sign a prenup because like marriage is literally, it's just a legally binding contract. Like everything else, like all the emotion, like at no point in the marriage, in the contract does it say like, I love you. Like that, none, it literally does not say that anywhere. It literally is just like, okay, like this is going to be 50-50. This, what's mine is yours is mine. So like,
The marriage license just kind of validates you are who you are, like that you're not pretending to be somebody else. Like this is truly my identity. This is my name, and then this is my blood type. You know, it's like it really doesn't have any of those other things that you need for a marriage to work.
Right.
And that's why like prenups. I was just thinking about that because I was like, some people make it seem like prenups are predestined to make the marriage fail. You know, if you sign a prenup. And I don't see why that would be the case. If you marry late in life and you spent your whole career building something and you want to be able to keep that as yours, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think that means I don't love you, you know, or that I don't believe that we're going to be able to be together until we both croak or one of us croaks, you know. But yeah, people blend those things. Like if I ask you to agree that this is mine, then I don't love you as much, and I don't see it that way.
I feel like prenup, I've only had like pop culture references, and I feel like pop culture has affected marriage, and that's a whole nother podcast for another time. But like,
no, that's very true.
because
You only hear like big people like get, but you can like
Yeah.
we can get prenups. Like we can get prenups written up. Like,
We's like, oh, thank God.
yeah, like you don't, literally like you
I
don't
don't,
have to
but
be
I
a
highly
millionaire.
don't even know what that means. It's just like we want prenup,
Prenuptials.
prenup. Yeah, like something that you need to have. But like, what is it? What do I need to have? So like, from what I understand, if you sign a prenup, that means that's all I understand.
Prenuptials are just like marriage is literally just a legally binding contract. It is saying that you guys are joining and you guys are now one. What is yours is now mine, and what is mine is now yours.
That's the signing. Yes, the
Legally
signing means that we're
speaking.
together, having and growing with this.
But that
thing.
means like your house, your money.
even if I had it before we were together.
Yeah, it doesn't actually just automatically mean that. First of all, it depends on the state.
Oh yes.
So
yes,
the
yes.
laws are different state to state, and some states have a time limit on when you can lay claim to somebody else's stuff by default of being married to them. So if we marry and I had a bank account that was only my name and there was $30,000 in that account, depending on the state you live in, you either have some claim to that, you have no claim to that. The courts would also, in granting a divorce, consider that one person's ability to take care of themselves. I mean, there's the issue of being paid alimony, palimony. It's just not that black and white, you know? Yeah, it's just really so. And a prenup doesn't just have to be about money either. I think
That's
that's
all I
another
hear about.
misconception. Yeah. No, a prenuptial agreement can be written out to just express that should we not be able to maintain this legal union, here's what we agree to. And it could be, you know, and It could be, I agree that I'm rich, I'm going to give you this much money. If we divorce, I will not pay you alimony month to month, and you go on with your life, I go on with mine. The prenuptial is just making these predetermined decisions, in the event of.
All right. Okay. Do you have words? Do you have anything on this?
I love her face. It's like, she's like, do I need a prenup?
No, I know. I'm like,
You were definitely listening.
I always tell him, I'm like, what's yours is mine.
Right.
But what's mine is mine. So maybe I'm gonna need a prenup. Maybe.
No, but here's the beautiful part. If he's okay with that, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's how my marriage is.
Yeah.
What's his is mine, but what's mine is mine. He
yeah.
agrees.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, then you don't need the prenup.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's marriage has to work for them.
Yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah.
Next time I do this, I'm gonna want one of those. Yeah, that's mine. No, this mine. That's on me. But
Just imagine everything is mine.
literally.
That's literally it. Even yours, mine.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh no, but this is mine. This is not yours.
All right, we're getting into our last segment.
Oh, sorry. I was
Okay.
like, what's it going to be?
It is As a Sprout. Little baby sprouts. Okay, so as a sprout, I mentioned this before, that when you were younger, what would you tell your younger self? And we could just think about your younger self as in your premarital self, right? So right before you were getting married, maybe when you first started dating. Okay, all right. You just wait your turn now. Hold on.
Don't do it. Run away. Run away.
But what would your in order to get to where you are today, or maybe if you would rather be somewhere else, I don't know. But what would you say to your younger self to make sure that they understand that?
Trust your instincts. Always. Because girl, you just know. You be knowing stuff. So trust that.
What if you're drowning them? No, never mind. Not a therapy session. It's okay. What if you muffle your instincts? No, never mind.
Okay.
Well, then that's what you're telling, that's what I'm telling my younger self. Like, my instincts are really essential. And always listen to them. Let them guide you, welcome them, embrace them. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Word. I'm into that.
I agree. I think I don't really like when people doubt me and what I feel and what I want to do with myself. And I think when I was younger and before getting married, it's like, oh, well, this is the first healthy relationship you've been in. Like, are you sure you need to get married? Are you sure you need to do this with this person? And maybe for a second I was like, wait, damn, yeah, because all I've ever known is nonsense. Should I really go through with this? And I would tell myself, like, yeah, why'd you ever doubt anything? There's no need. That's what I would tell myself. I wish I never doubted it for that half second. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
I got chills. Damn.
Yeah, that's right. I got
Okay.
goosebumps.
Thank you.
Run, bitch, run. Like, literally, like, the other direction. No. I mean, not no, but like actually, what would I have told my love? Oh my God, I think that's a really loaded question for me. She's been through.
You
too
have,
much.
and
She's been through a lot and like everything. And would
Oh my
have
God,
told
can
her
I tell your
everything.
younger self something?
Yes, can you please? Can you please?
I think you could tell your younger self to love as openly as you do, but pay close attention to how you're being loved in return.
Yes.
Can we?
You felt that?
Yeah.
You
Can
felt
we
that
clip
one?
that? We're gonna clip that. It's played in my house all the time.
Yeah, that's
I need
real.
to hear that now. Not
That's for-
only when I was like, I need to hear that every day. I might write that one down.
Yeah, that's real. I think that's for all the cancers out there.
All cancers.
I mean, all the signs, but the cancers especially. Y'all be feeling things. Well, I believe that's a wrap. That's our show today.
Oh my God.
I know.
That was amazing.
I know, right? Thank you so much for such a riveting conversation.
Yes, thank you guys for coming.
The information on prenuptials. Am I pronouncing that right? Because I promise you, I cannot even spell it. Like, it's just prenup. Is there an M in there? Prenup? No. like, I don't know that one.
She said alimony and palimony.
Okay.
That one, the other one was a thing.
Okay. We'll save that for later. But yes, many blessings to both of y'all in your beautiful marriages. But as you grow and go into life, many blessings, of course. And Grace, we here.
Yeah, we gonna be back. You guys gonna see us again.
Oh yeah, that's
different
right.
outfits and different hairstyles.
That's it.
Different topics. That's all this is.
Right. You can listen to this podcast on everywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm talking about Spotify, Apple Music, Stitcher if you want. That's a premium
Stitcher.
one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, listen to this podcast. Make sure you're following us at AIB Connect. All right. This is Always in Bloom podcast. Thank you so very much.
Peace.